Hello, 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 and welcome to another live stream here on the Here to Record YouTube channel. I'm just going to take out my headphones because it's giving me some echo and it's driving me a little bit nuts already, but that's fine. We're here, ready to do some stuff. Let me know if you can hear and see me just fine. I'm making many adjustments. I'm getting a thumbs up from the behind the scenes crew here. I'll tell you more about that in a minute, which is great to have though. But getting a thumbs up there, they can hear and see me. They're listening to me in a different way than you are, so it's not that helpful, but good to hear either way. But yeah, you can let me know in the chat on YouTube if you can hear and see me just fine. Good to see plenty of people coming in on the chat, some of the usual faces, and I think I see a couple of maybe all classical usual faces, which is excellent here. Morning all from Hamilton, New Zealand, 5 a.m. local time. Pretty early to join us here, but it's never too early. And Eric, good to have you here as well. Rochester from Netherlands as well. Lots of usual faces here. 32. Yeah, I think weather will be a constant topic of discussion, maybe going on for the next, well, for this show and maybe for our next few shows. But it's hot out there at the minute in many of our local time zones here. But it's only 18 degrees in Stockholm, so that's not so bad. AV working seems to be working just fine, which is great. All good. Excellent. Nice to see all of you here and checking in. Christoph here with a already installed 2.9.1, which is good to know. I released a new version of H2R Graphics today, so we can dig into that later in the show as well. Some of the new things that have been improved on that. I thought I'd just give you a really quick little tour of what it looks like here in the studio today, because I have made some changes. Now to do this, I need to set up a few things here. I'm going to turn off my graphics. I'm going to use my phone to send you a feed of that. I'm really hoping AirPlay doesn't let me down like it has done in past shows, but you know, we'll find out whenever I start mirroring my phone here and see what happens. Okay, the frame rate is looking good. Excellent. Stay that way, AirPlay. Do not let me down. Yeah, so this show is the first of my live streams just done from the 2ME, the Constellation ATEM Constellation 2ME HD. I've been off for a few weeks now. I've totally forgotten all the buzz terms and the details. But anyway, they'll come back to me as the show goes on. So you can see behind me here on the rack, I have the 2ME, ATEM 2ME, which is running this show. I've got all my cameras connected. I did that during the day today. Ran all the SDI cables around the room with the converters and all that good stuff. I've been upgrading from the ATEM Mini Extreme if you're new around here to the live streams. But this is the first show with that. What you'll also see above me, just out of focus there on the screen, is the web presenter, which is actually doing the live stream today. A little bit different from usual, where I use the ATEM Mini Extreme to do all the live streams. What else? And I have screens in front of me, so let's get to all of those screens now. Let me just change to a wide camera here, and then I can jump to the Apple TV. So this is what you see in front of me. I'll just take down the brightness just a touch. Wait, did I go the right way? That way. Perfect. So I have a few things set up here. I have my laptop just running the ATEM software control. You can see all the nice buttons there that come with the 2ME. I have another monitor in front of me. I have so many outputs on this ATEM now that I can do all of this fun stuff. I have a monitor in front of me showing the multi-view. And I also have that wired up to show anything I want. So obviously I can use the ATEM software control, change an output, and then send whatever I want to that monitor over there. So now I've sent the wide camera that I used at the start, but I do want the multi-view back again, so I'll set that up to show multi-view. Above that, I have my teleprompter there. You can just about see it showing program. I have another screen over here, which is showing the live studio of YouTube, and a little zoom window up there. Jeremy's just popped off to the side there, giving a little wave. Hey, Jeremy. And then I have another screen over here, which is showing program. And then I have the iPad down here, which is doing the graphics for this live stream. H2R Graphics on this side, one of the rundown windows. And then I'm using Live App Pro to show my graphics today as well. The main reason for using that today, not only have I been testing out the new beta that they've been letting me trial for a little while, which shows lets me show videos. I don't have any videos to show today, but I'm also using it as an overlay for my graphics. So if I show the overlay section here real quick, you'll see that I have this little overlay turned on. It's blue because I turned it on. I turn it off and on again. And that is where I show my graphics. Now you're not seeing any graphics right now. Why is that? That's because this is AirPlaying to the Apple TV, which is behind me. And then that is overlaid on top of my screen and showing the graphics. But I can't do the both at the same time because I only have one Apple TV. So I can't show you that today. But I'll show you that at some point, I'm sure. What else? What's next? That's all the screens that I have in front of me. My Stream Deck is here. It's pretty much the same as before, where I have a page that shows the program preview. I can decide what's going to be in the super source at the top. And then I have two more windows or pages here. One is what's showing on that monitor there. And then the other is what's showing on that monitor there, which is really handy for if I quickly want to show what's on my computer, I can do that. But I like to have it as a ME1 program for now, just so I know what I'm showing to you out there in the audience. What else can I show you? I'll show you what's behind me as well before I switch off this camera and we go back to the graphics view as well. So switching to that camera there, subtle change here. I'm moving away from the microphone a little, so you'll forgive me if things sound a little bit different. So I have the setup kind of taking shape right now. Now that I've just turned around, I realized that I didn't turn on my lights in the back, but you know, it doesn't really matter that much, does it? I have my old, it's not really old, but the unplugged ATEM Mini Extreme. What's quite funny about this camera shot here is it looks kind of like it's doing a like a pre-programmed button run through, which looks quite cool. I'll see if I can figure out how to do that. But that's just the shutter rate or shutter speed on the camera that's doing that. The ATEM 2ME, like I said, it just plugged in today, switched everything in. I've got the web presenter up above it, the Pearl Nano, which is not doing anything right now. A couple of screens, the shuttle, and then I thought I'd throw up my old cameras that I used to use for lots of conference gigs and all that good stuff. So that is the work in progress. And I'm going to give you a little sneak peek into the chaos that ensued today while I was setting all this up. You're not going to see this for long, but look at this mess of cables that I've created. Isn't that an absolute shambles, an absolute shame? Shouldn't I be ashamed of myself? Yes, you're right. But there's a good reason for that. I've been waiting for 3 weeks now on an order of SDI cable, or a huge spool of SDI and connectors as well. So I'm going to roll my own SDI cables, but they've been stuck in transit for a few weeks now. So when they come, I will take away all that mess that I just shamefully showed you there, and then I will change that to be custom length cables that I'll run back and forth in a much tighter way against this wall. But this morning when I got here, I was using my ATEM Mini Extreme for all this, and now during the live stream, I've changed over to the 2ME, and in that amount of time, I managed to make one heck of a mess on the floor. Okay, we're back to the graphics overlay, I think. If I just turn my gear back on again here, I can show some chat messages. I see a few have come in here. Doug Johnson Productions, good to see you here. 60 frames per second today, is that new for you? I don't think so. I think that I had 60 on many of my other streams. That's a good question. I think I do most of my stuff at 60 these days. I set my ATEM Mini Extreme, which is, like I said, behind me there, to 60p a long while ago. And I think I've been streaming in that most of the time. And I also think most of my videos are recorded through that at 60. But for a while, I was going down to 30 or 25 in vMix or some other way. But I think it's been like that for a while. I can't exactly remember now. It's a bit of a blur. Question here from Tycho. What do you use to AirPlay your camera? So I'm using this application. Excuse me. I wonder, can I show you this? I don't know how in focus this will be. We'll find out. Camera 2. Yeah, not very. I'll set it on my table. So this is Filmic Pro running on my iPhone. I'm going to have some water here. Filmic Pro running on the iPhone, and then from there you can choose to screen mirror it. I'll just get that out of the way for a second. No, I can't show it right now. But you can screen mirror it from there using the AirPlay into an Apple TV. And from there, you can show the whatever's on the output. It's like a clean feed of the camera, which is really nice. There's a few camera apps that let you do that over AirPlay. Get you a clean aperture, as it's called. And you can show your camera feed on a show like this. So it's just AirPlaying with Filmic Pro into the Apple TV, and then I'm just cutting to it. Yeah, so that answers the question. Yeah, so many buttons on the ATEM software controller. You're absolutely right, Eric says. Now you will see there's a little bit of a glitch going on with the graphics here, and I believe that is a combination of my iPad acting really strange today and me doing this wirelessly. So the iPad is sitting on the table in front of me here. In fact, that's why I set up this camera overhead, so I could give you a good shot of that. So let's take another look at that right now. Moving my case off to the side and my iPad into position. Okay, good enough. So I have my iPad, like I said here, running two different apps at the same time. This is just Chrome, which has the rundown of graphics in it. And then I have the Live App Pro running the overlay mode, and I can just choose a URL here. And for example, I put in the IP address of the output from H2R Graphics, and I've turned that on so you can see the graphics on the screen. But this is not connected, as you can see, to any wires anywhere. Maybe the battery will run out during the show at some point. We'll see. But it is running wirelessly into the network, of course, and then the Apple TV is connected to the same network, which is allowing me to show some graphics on the screen. I think that's why it's acting a bit weird. The Apple TV does seem to try to do its best to be very, whenever you use wireless anyway, it does seem to try to be smart about how much data is being sent, but I don't exactly know when and where it chooses those things. But yeah, I'm basically airplaying the graphics from there, which is working out to be okay. Sometimes, like, see that one from Ray here saying late arrival, good release, playing from the beginning. That one looked just fine, but they don't all just look quite as good as that. We'll see as the show goes on what kind of stuff we have. Okay, so why don't we launch into the new version of H2R Graphics I released today. It has been in testing for a couple of weeks now, and like I said, I've been away a little bit, not working too much over the last few weeks, which I'm sure many of you have been doing if you're celebrating holidays at the minute. But if I show you, why don't we go to SuperSource, and I'll show you the PC. Version 2.9.1 just came out today. And one of the sort of most anticipated features, I could say, from the version 1 of H2R Graphics to version 2, one of the things I left out for now, or until today, was the ability to draw on the screen. But that's back as of now. And what you can see here is I'm in the settings of the app, and I can enable draw on screen. It actually comes shipped as hidden by default because I don't want you to start drawing on the screen and you get confused about why things are suddenly coming up on your screen. So I opted for hidden for now, but you can just go in there, enable it, and from there you can start drawing on the screen, as you can see here. I'm just using my mouse to do that. And you can draw whatever you want to draw. And then there's a little tip here to say use the C key on your keyboard to clear that drawing. So I'm just pressing C, which will clear that away. A couple of the other options from there, though, is that you can change the color of the little paintbrush, let's say. So if I want to do some red, and if I leave my drawing on previously, I can draw that color as well on top of the other one. And then I can choose the radius of the brush. So maybe I want to do like an extra small little line to point out certain information over here, or an extra large just to say this is the most important thing you should look at right here. I will leave it up to you what you choose to do with the drawing on the screen. But one thing to note is that even though I have two outputs open here from this project and I draw on one of them, It doesn't show up on the other one. And that so far is by design, because I felt like when I was building this feature in, it wouldn't make sense to be syncing either in real time or after the capture to the other output. But I'm keen to hear feedback along the way if that's something people would really like in some sense. It's not quite so easy as just, copy paste in terms of development, but it is something I would like to hear some use cases and some whys and why nots on that one. But you could just show this graphic full screen like you do any other graphics and then draw over it. As you would expect it to work, it should work. That's one of the new features in this version. And I know it's something people have asked for. When is that coming? In fact, I've heard from a few people who are using still using the old version of H2R Graphics, like the previous 2.0 release, because they're waiting on drawing, making it in there. So there'll be some happy people today, I'm sure, whenever they see this release comes out. And it has drawing built in. What else did I add in this version? I just did the video about it today, and I'm trying to remember. One of the other things is in the variables list now, you can see that it has like little row numbers, because if you had lots of rows in there, trying to track down, row number 8, cell number 2 would take a lot of counting and getting lost pretty easily during live streams and shows. So a tiny little detail there, but super important. And I would say the final big feature, or more of an improvement than a big feature maybe, but there's now some more speed options in the credits as well, if you're using the pro graphic of credits. And even better, if you've got a super long credit roll, so this one's only like 6-7 lines, but if you have like 200 names in there, it now calculates the height differently, and it'll show all your names, which is, obviously something you definitely want, to show all the credit names in your credit sequence, but it was just a bug before, and now it is sorted. So that's what's new in this version of H2R Graphics. I'm actually not going to close all the windows. I need those. I'll just drag that back over there again. Come back to me. I saw some questions come in there. Let's see. So I'm AirPlay my graphics. With this method, you can use fade inside of your graphics, or does it require key fill whenever you're AirPlaying? In this case, I'm showing the graphics on screen with a little bit of Luma keying. So let me just go to SuperSource again here, and I have my ATEM software control up. Let's see, in the switcher tab, I'm using this downstream keyer here to show hide the graphics. And what that's letting me do is, if I just show that comment again here, I just play with the clip and the gain just to get the keying, the Luma keying look okay. I can see on your shirt there it doesn't look great, but I do find that without key fill, it's always a bit of a gamble and guess to get the graphics looking just right. In this case, I might have actually been better off doing like a green screen style Luma key instead, but I opted just for my usual downstream key method, and there is only one input going into the computer or into the ATEM instead of my usual 2. I typically use 2. Let me see what else. Oh yeah, this is a good one. This is not something that's currently available. Can people draw remotely? That would be pretty cool. Remote is something I've been thinking about a lot for graphics, and it's not something I've solved just yet. So maybe that could be part of that solution whenever the time comes. But people could, at this point, people couldn't draw remotely, because what you want to do is show the output locally on your switcher, and you want to be where that output is and draw on that output and show that output. So at this point, no one could draw remotely. It wouldn't do anything. They could draw if they had a VPN into your computer, they open an output locally, they could draw all they wanted, but you wouldn't see it anywhere but their specific output. Two-way sync could make that possible, but not currently. So that definitely something to think about if I come up with that two-way sync thing, or not two-way sync. Main output for drawing, and the rest follow that output. Let's see here. Constantine, thank you for your question. Is it possible to reuse themes between projects now? I have been out of the loop for a while. No, it's still on my list of things to add, like an export theme button or a use from project theme button. It's on my list. I just have not gotten to it quite yet. So thank you for the reminder. Good to have always. I think that's everything for H2R Graphics. I mean, that's all the information that I've added for this new version. It's not a huge, I wouldn't consider it like a huge update, but it is one of a few things that have just been sitting there. And in fact, there's a list of features. As always, you can see over on, let's see, H2R Graphics, H2R.graphics/download, where I list all of the stuff that's been improved on there. The things I've mentioned so far are up at the top, but there's also lots of little things. Oh, actually, this is a pretty good one to chat about because it's a pretty important one. So in the previous versions of H2R Graphics, all of the time-based, 2 time of day based countdown timers were all based on the time of day that you clicked and set. And it was based on that day. And if you did something previous to this time, it wouldn't always work. And there was a few little quirks in there. But what the app does now is if you were to set a timer for, let's say 7:30, that's at about 10 minutes from my current time. If I set a countdown to time of day timer for 7:30 today, and I pressed it on air right now, it would show me, you know what? I'll just do it. Instead of explaining, why don't I just do that thing? Let's get rid of that, and open H2R Graphics back up again. There we go. So this is my 2 time of day countdown timer here. And this would be a good time for the demo to work, that's for sure. So what I have is a 7 o'clock 2 time of day countdown timer. And the reason for a 7 o'clock is because that's whenever the live stream starts in my local time. Now, I'd be so bothered if this doesn't work. That big circle timer is what started this live stream if you were here from the start, and it finished at 7 o'clock. But 7 o'clock is past now. That's in the past. And in the previous version of H2R Graphics, if I clicked on this, nothing would happen. It would just try to show it. It would decide that it's out of date, and then it would hide again. But I've set it up now so that if you press it, okay, it worked. Phew. Maybe you can't see it that well because the background's a different color. But if you press it, it calculates tomorrow instead of today. So now it's set to 23 hours and 37 minutes and 12 seconds. I think you can just about see that on the stream. It's sort of why. Oh, actually, you know what? Let me just show it on air real quick. So you can see now that it's counting down to tomorrow instead, which is again something I've wanted to add into the app, but it just the logic of making it work consistently every time, just it's never as easy as just making it work with all this time-based features. I would love it to be as easy as just ticking a box, but it really isn't when it comes to the time stuff. So that's a big one. Small release, but big, important fixes, definitely. A few little bits and pieces fixed here. And now, if you're not a pro user, you can always delete the demo project and create a new project just fine. Something that kind of slipped by because deleting project wasn't a thing before. Yes, IT Never Gets Old reminds me that there was new timer features that I forgot to mention. You're absolutely right. New timer stuff as well. Cool. All right. One thing I'm trying to improve on overall on the live streams here is the overall audio level. So I've had plenty of comments over the last, well, however long I've been live streaming, years, that the live stream in general is a little bit quieter than other live streams. So today I was just testing out this tool that I use sometimes for work that I'm doing for other people, but I always forget to use it for my own stuff. You know, it's easier to fix stuff for other people's work than it is to fix your own because there's so many things going on in your head. So this is YouLean Loudness meter, and I have it plugged in. I'm actually using vMix to sort of monitor the whole audio and the whole video of this show. And you can see here, if you're not familiar with this tool, you can see the overall graph of my entire live stream so far. So here was the music that I played in the pre-show leading up during the 4-minute countdown. And then it kicks in with me talking. There's a big jump there between the music and talking, but I personally find that to be better, pulling back on the music a little bit during the pre-show and then coming in with the voice. But if you were here for that, then let me know if the difference between the two was a bit too drastic. I'd be keen to hear that and change things, definitely. So I was heading around the -36 here for the music, and then what I wanted to try and hit was this -23 for the talking. Now, YouTube, I believe, is either -18 or -14. I can't remember off the top of my head right now. I think it's -18 that YouTube recommends for the overall loudness, but I stuck with 23 for today, and then I can adjust from there based on your feedback. Whatever people find either during this live show or in the comments below, let me know. Eric does say audio levels are fantastic today as far as I can tell. Yeah, I've sort of boosted everything up as high as I can go before I start to feel like I'm going a little too out of control here. What I like about pre-recorded videos is that I can back off a little and fix it in post, but that's not so easy on the live show. So you can tell here that I'm kind of pushing in around where I want to be and around the -23. In fact, I think it might be a little lower than what I actually want it to be, but it's something I'm learning and trying to get better at. So you can let me know. Yeah, -23 sounds good, and is the broadcast standard. Exactly, the broadcast standard -23, in around that point. But I do know that it's one of those classics. Like, obviously, I don't want to be everyone else being at -18 and I'm at -30. Like, there's a huge difference there. But I'd be more than happy if everyone's using -18 and I'm pushing in around -23. Fine with that. So, like I said, this is a tool that I use, and I don't even use the Pro version. I keep meaning to buy that, but I never get around to it because it always has the features that I need just fine for the free version. But it's something, it's not expensive at all. In fact, let me just throw the website in here in case you want to know what I am talking about. This is a neat little loudness meter tool. YouLean website. I'll just throw it in the chat. But since it's a standalone app, you can run it like I've shown it. But the way I use it is it's actually a VTS. Is it VTS or VST? I always forget which one of those two it is. Plugins. It doesn't matter. Anyway, it's plug-in right now into vMix, and it's just monitoring the overall main level of my show. And the only thing going into my show is this one microphone. So looks good, sounds good. I'm happy. VST plugin. Thank you, Eric. That's good to know. It was 50-50. For my cheap headphones, I'm at 50% on YouTube sound control and 60% on Windows 10. Great. Yeah, I think usually you need to be a bit higher than that whenever you're watching my live shows. But I am keen to improve, make things better. It's exactly the kind of thing that I would complain about other people's shows, or when I'm working on shows, I would look at a meter like this and say, oh, I need more. But doing my own show, I let it fall. But audio is super important, turns out. And now that I've got all the video things in place, basically, there's no excuse not to make it sound good as well. I've also put my my microphone on an arm again, which you can't see. But you can see it bounce up and down, which looks a bit hilarious sometimes because I keep bumping it. But it really helps me get it right in front of my face, unlike the little stand that I was using before. That was a lot of chit-chatting about loudness, but it is something I wanted to bring up because I wanted to hear live feedback on how it was going and your thoughts. The time is almost 7:30 here, which means that it's time to jump into the post-show. If you're watching live, then just stick around. You don't have to go anywhere. All I'm going to do is press play on a quick credit roll, and then I'll come right back after a water break. If you're watching on demand, then the post-show is for members only, members of the channel. I do post it as fast as I can after the show finishes. I'm just trying to fix something here for my credits before I get to that point. So if you're watching on demand, then you will want to become a member of the channel, and you can do that below on the buttons. What you also missed out on if you're not a member of the channel is we had a live show pre-show as well, where we were on Zoom chit-chatting. There's only a couple of us because I only planned it a few hours ago, but I think it's something I'm going to do for all of my live streams now. Maybe I'll change the post show a little bit. We're not sure. I'm not sure yet. But a pre-show for about a half hour on Zoom before I go live. It's perfect for me just to chit chat with people, make sure things sound and look okay, and then get distracted and then forget that I'm going live, and then next thing you know, it's already happening. So yeah, it's been fun. It's been fun to chat. But anyway, we're going to go into the post show. I'm going to have some water, and then I will see you in a few seconds. Okay, enjoy some music for a few seconds. See ya. Special thanks to a very stuttery Jeremy, who's here, Revolutionary Lightboards, Marlon, Patrick, Jim, and all of your faces in the chat. Look, it goes past so slow you can see yourself so well.